Testing, testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. All right, everyone, welcome back to another Friday night live stream here at Christ-Centered Ironworks. So glad to have you this evening. Thank you for being here. And we are going to have a great time starting a new project for this new year. Last live stream, we actually, at the very first of the year, or January 1, 2021, we worked on the membership wall. So we got that done. That was a fun stream. Thank you for everybody who came out for that. That was great. I enjoyed being able to get the membership names burned into the membership wall so much. So thank you all for your great support. Yeah, can't be more excited about that. So I'm especially excited about the project that we are going to be working on this evening. And we will definitely get right into that because this stream is going to be all about forging. That's what the purpose of this stream is. And a little bit of an update to take and let everybody know how the streams are going to go from now throughout all of 2021, God willing. And then also we will be announcing what it is the year of in this stream. So what we will be giving away this year, I am super excited about that. I can't tell you enough how super excited I am about that. And aren't you excited, Jessica?
I am definitely looking forward to this stream. And no, I got my own little heater over here. So thank you for your concern. But they say scoot closer to the forge.
So yeah, so if you notice, Jessica's mic sounds a little bit different. That's because she's actually having to use the internal microphone on the computer because our trackpad on the computer ended up going out on us. So we had to switch it up, and that's why we've been so late today. We had a little bit of technical difficulties that we had to get ironed out right off the jump. So hopefully this computer won't crash like it did last time on us. We kind of narrowed it down to the trackpad was the issue. So hopefully that'll be doing pretty good. Real quick, Jessica, let's do a camera check for camera number 2. Make sure we're looking good over there and everything's coming across well. Good. As you can see, I've got it spaced out. I've got the camera spaced out a little bit better away from the anvil. That's not the new angle. That's just an angle that we're going to be doing for this evening because I have a lot of material to move and it's kind of a long piece. So for you guys to be able to see what I'm doing, we will be going back and forth between the main cam and the anvil cam. We'll be at the anvil cam to show the finer finial portions that I'll be working on, and then we'll be at the main cam for doing the very large scroll that I'll be working on this evening on a scrolling jig. So I need to clear out some space so I could wrap this thing around the scroll jig. So that's what we've got planned for this evening. Let's jump into the project real quick, and then we'll talk a little bit about what you can expect not only this month in the next stream, but for the following months in 2021. So can they see this first and foremost, Jessica, in the screen? So what we will be working on in the next several streams is a sleigh or a sled. It's more specifically a sled, but the design is sleigh-esque, if you will. A sleigh is usually a much larger horse-drawn implement, obviously. A sled is something that you would see kids sliding around on or moving something like logs or something like that on. That's a sled. That's kind of the difference between a sleigh and a sled. A sleigh is much larger and it's being pulled by horses. That's generally the concept. But as you can see, hopefully they can see this scroll work, it's very sleigh-esque, reminiscent of a sleigh. And so I'm going to be making my kids a sled, which all good daddies got to make their kids a sled, right? And I just happen to be doing it the blacksmith way. I'm going to forge them one. So the ideal of it we'll have this branching scroll work like you see it here, and then we will have a wooden top. It'll be a single wooden plank top. I'm going to keep it really simple, nice rounded edges, something I can lacquer real quick and keep, be able to do in the shop. We're not doing anything too crazy. And it's meant to be a one child at a time kind of sled. It's going to be heavy enough as it is, so we're going to do a one-seater on this particular thing. Of course, if you wanted to do a two-seater or however many, make it more of a toboggan, you would just adjust your plank length and you would adjust your runners or your skis, if you want to call them skis. I call them runners. You'll want to take and adjust your runners, and lengthen them. So that's what we'll be working on over the next few streams and putting one together. And I'm super excited about that. What do they think of it, Jess?
Lots of real good comments about the design. Luke Graham says, awesome design. Britton says, very cool idea. Neil Graham says, Santa sleigh.
Aha!
So, yeah, they are liking the looks of it.
Good, good, good. So, all right, I got to get this up here a little bit more. I might have to tilt this up just a bit more. The first piece for the runners that we're working on is 6 feet long. So in this first scroll and throughout the length of the runner is 6 feet of material. So, and there's like a solid 48 inches just in the scroll right there. There's a solid 4 foot of material just in the scroll, the curving portion before it goes flat. So yeah, there's quite a bit of material. Just remember, curves eat material. They do. Anytime you go around something, it's going to suck up a lot of material, and you have to, figure that out in advance. The way that I figure that out on designs like this, and I'll backtrack just for a second and talk about this. This design here is what I like to call a figurative sketch. This is not I am going 1,000% for this exactly every measured dimension. If it needed to be measured and have perfect dimensions, you would see a grid or layout lines on this. But that's not what this is. This isn't an architectural drawing. This is a figurative drawing. I do this all the time in my shop. It helps me keep a clear vision and the kind of scope of scale of what I'm working for. But it allows me to make the adjustments and the freedom when I actually get to forging the piece, because we're going to be using a scrolling jig that has a different type of scroll on it. Can they see that okay, Jess? It has a different tightly wound scroll on it than what this drawing is here. So I'm going to kind of have to fidget and play with that a little bit to get it to look right the way that I want it to. So again, I didn't stick this up here and try to draw all that out. I just drew a figurative drawing of where in roughly size and scale I would like this thing to look like. And I just did that by eye. If you find it handier to use something like use something like draw out layout lines for scale first, you're more than welcome to. That's a great way of doing it. I just happen to draw a lot of stuff by eye for a figurative drawing. That gives you more leeway to make design changes if something isn't quite coming together structurally as you might like it to be. So after I drew my drawing, I used a pair of calipers. Go to camera number 2, Jess. Well, not calipers, I shouldn't call them that. Dividers. That's what I call these. Some people call these compasses. I just call them dividers for dividing up stock. I set my gap to 1 inch, and then I just walked it around the drawing. Just walked it around the drawing and measured it out that way, how much I needed for the actual material for the scroll. And that's what came up with 6 feet. This method is fairly accurate. Again, it's going to have some plus and minuses in it based upon how hard I'm forging on this and what I'm doing with it. It's going to affect that to a degree. So yeah, so that's how I came up with my measurements and all that jazz. Hopefully that's all good. Everybody's happy with that? Yeah. Sound good? Good. Questions, comments? I'll take those real quick.
Rob Huff says his drawings are more abstract. Granddad says, great idea. I can't draw worth nothing, ergo it's figurative. CU Metals says he can't draw either. He just sees what he can do and how it works out. And just gonna get better, ask if it's gonna be steerable.
Yeah, lean. I don't know. I'll go ahead and put this disclaimer. I am not a sled manufacturer. I have no clue how to make a sled steerable. I think I know, but I don't really know. Not enough to educate on it. This one is just going to have runners. There's going to be some places where they can throw a rope around it, so they have a little rope. And the way I figured they'll do it is they'll just lean with it. My kids aren't really into directing their stuff. They're just like, let's barrel down the hill as fast as we can. So, so the way I steered a sled as a kid, I just drug a foot or a hand and put a little friction this side and then a little bit of friction that side, and you know, there you go. So that is what that's what that sled will end up being itself, as far as steerable is concerned.
Also, thank you, Stephen Watkins, for the $5 super chat. He says, Heidi Ho from Minion Smithy, and Happy New Year.
Hey, Stephen Watkins, thank you so much for the $5
super chat, right? $5, yeah.
Thank you also, Just Gonna Get Better, and he says, let's get this party started.
Awesome. Thank you, Just Gonna Get Better. Appreciate that. God bless you.
And thank you, Hans from Charming Hollow Forge, sent a $50 super chat and says, watching my old pal Roy and his lovely bride Jess, what can be better on a Friday night?
Just about nothing. Thank you, Hans. Thank you so much for being here. God bless you, brother. God bless you and your family. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. One more, Wilkins Welding and Ford says, woohoo, I'm finally off work on a Friday and able to catch the live stream.
Right on. Glad to have you here. Glad you could join us. All right. So should we get into some forging first and then get into the other stuff? Throw it in the middle? Throw it in the middle? All right. I should have thought about this a little bit better. I should have set up another jack stand to the exact height I need. Let me do that real quick. Would have made a little bit more sense if I would have had this ready to go before we got started, but so much stuff to do and such a little time to do it in. Also, if you notice that I'm a little bit on the slurred speech side, I had dental work done this week, and it did not go well for me. It kind of went from dental work to oral surgery, and on the spot, it was supposed to be just getting some fillings put back in, but the fillings that had fell out had been out for so long that the gums had regrew inside where the fillings were because they were down low. And so they kind of had to cut away some of my gums to get the filling material back in. And so yeah, I'm on painkillers right now. So I will apologize if there's anything more goofy about me than regular. You know, than the regular old Roy. All right, that should be good enough. Get that out of the way. What size stock we're working with? We are working with 1/4 inch by 1 inch flat bar stock, 6 feet long. Or for you guys there across the pond, 25 mil by 6 mil flat stock. Okay? Sound good? All right, let's go to the
forging here.
So we'll go to camera number 2. I'll talk about it real quick. What we're actually going to be making, according to our design, is a penny scroll. So we're going to end up forging a penny end on the end of it. It'll get twisted in line with the flat and then rolled up into a scroll. So that's what I'm working on now. The secret to this is you want to get it good and hot, and you want to lay out about a cube of material. I get asked all the time, Roy, what do you mean by a cube of material? I basically mean it is out as far as it is wide. Some people say that's a square of material. You can call it what you like. I call it a cube because if it was on a square bar that you were forging, you would essentially be forging out a cube. Take that corner off. A little too cold for that second operation. That's okay. I'll get it cleaned up here. Set that back down on my piece. All I'm doing at this heat is planishing out hammer blows for my next operation. Looks good. Hopefully we can show that off to the side. Can they see that okay in the screen? Yeah. So I've just removed this outside corner. This outside corner. The next heat I'm going to come in here and remove this corner and roll it up a little bit. And then I'll continue to neck down here because I want that to be fairly thin because I need to twist it.
Charming Hollow says you could forge new chompers and just could install them on a live stream.
Well, just about might do better than the dentist. No, it wasn't the dentist's fault. It was just my lack of wanting to go to the dentist for so long. Life got in the way. We had to move. You know, we had to move in the mix and moving the shop, moving lives, and getting settled, and just one thing right after the other. Then I was going to get it worked on, and then, you know, last year happened, and so then that went by, and, you know, so it was just like, okay, we've got time. They're willing to take me. Let's go for it. And then, yeah. Don't skip on brushing your teeth and getting dental work done, kids. It does not pay in the long run.
Here's a question from Luke Graham who says, what's your best tip for someone that's never done scrolling before?
I have loads of them. I've got an entire playlist series on fundamental scroll work. That's kind of some of my best tips for scrolls there. But as far as the answer and address directly in the stream, again, I highly encourage you to check out the playlist section on the channel for scrolls. You'll have to search scrolls in there. Jess could probably tell you better than how to actually search it. But I don't know how many videos I have on scroll work, but I think at least a dozen. A bunch. There's a bunch. Oh, there's more than that. I mean, there's over a dozen sitting on that ring over there, so. There's a bunch. There's a bunch on there. But to more address it, the thing I like to tell people, the most important thing about scrolls is heat management, okay? The longer and longer the curvature, the longer and longer the heat you need. And the more and more gradient that heat needs to be. So you don't want to have a hot spot, cold spot, hot spot, cold spot, hot spot, right? You don't want that. Some people think, well, you can just stick it in a gas forge. There's hot spots in a gas forge and cold spots in a gas forge. You still have to paint the material, paint the heat in a gas forge to get a really nice even arc on a scroll. And even forming scrolls in a gas forge actually sucks in comparison to a coal forge if you're not using a jig. There we go. We'll put that disclaimer there, if you're not using a jig. But if you're just getting started, most likely you don't have a jig, so you need to learn to do it by hand first. Because how can you make a jig if you don't know how to make a proper scroll first? So that's key. But pay attention to negative space and heat control. When you're really tight, you need short heats. The longer you get, the bigger the scroll is, the longer the heats are. And as long as you keep doing that and focus on that, you can grow a really nice scroll. The other thing is, scrolling is forming. It's not forging. So there's a difference. Not that you're not forging it. I mean, you're still a blacksmith. You're still forging stuff. A scroll still counts, okay, as forge work on the finial. But after that, you're forming a scroll. So think of it in that respect. You're not forging this cross-section into some new type of cross-section. You are just forming the pre-built cross-section. So hopefully that's not too confusing and that makes somewhat sense to you. Did I answer that question good enough? I think I did. I got on a little tangent there, but yeah, heat control and pay attention to your negative space. And we'll get into that a little bit as we go here. The rest of it's just fun. It's just fun work, like finials, and you get to choose what styling you want. And then there's stuff like proper scroll design, like how to design something that flows and looks well for the project that you're doing. That's a 10-week course in of itself. I should make some of these courses, I think. That way I could put them on YouTube and get like 200 views. Huh. Spend like 8 weeks of my life making scroll courses and get 200 views. All right, are we back at camera number 2? Anvil cam? All right. Now this is the hardest part probably of this whole scrolling process, is working on this finial and getting it right, because I've got a 6-foot long bar here that doesn't want to stay balanced. So usually on a shorter bar that you can control, these penny scrolls are a lot easier to work on. Ugh. All right. Get that iron back out. I'm going to take one more heat on that just because it needs it. Can they see that okay? Look good? Take one more heat and then I can start thinning it out. Questions?
See, we have one here from Elijah Roush who says, have you ever thought of creating classes on Masterclass or Skillshare?
Brief passing thoughts about it. I've kind of gotten to the point, to be honest, I've put out so much of myself for free on the internet, and all that information is completely free, like something I'd put in a master class type deal, in the beginner kind of concept, in the constructive, like doing scrolls or doing fundamental courses, things like that, that I don't think that would be, I don't know if I would have the want to have to do that again, to rehash all that over again and film all that, in such a way that would make, a really good, it'd be a really good online course, and then try to sell that to folks. Now, there are things that I do in my regular work that is not beginner, it is not intermediate, and it's not advanced level blacksmithing. It's stuff that takes long time to learn, long time to practice. Not that long to learn, but a long time to get good at. And it's just because of the years that I've been doing it, I have some experience and I can shine light on certain processes, like my copper work, or like chasing work that I do, or some of the other various jobs that I've undertook. That might be interesting to put in a class someday, just because that's a bit above and beyond the norm of what you can just get for free already online. But we're coming up on, we literally are, we are just right around the river bend of 1,500 videos here on YouTube. And that's a lot of free content and a lot of community supported content that has gone on for the last 3 years. So I've really sown a lot of myself out for free. So why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free, I guess is the question that comes to my mind. So I've never really done too much thinking about it other than just a passing thought. And to be honest with you, I've got about 1.5 zillion other things I've got going on in my life right now. I wouldn't have the time. Let's go to camera 2, Jess. Great question, though. And thanks for stopping by, Elijah. Great question. Again, the prettier you leave this material, that means the better you planish out this material, the better your scrolls are going to look. If you leave this lumpy and garbage, and you beat this all to heck and back, you're going to get kinks and weird rolls and stuff and kerfluffles in your scroll work. Make sure this is smooth. Will really help you out there. We're going to take one more passing heat on that. Get that cleaned up.
Thank you, Yamez, for the super sticker of a mustache. And also we have a $10 super chat from Hans, who says, Roy, at what point can a smith competently start teaching other smiths experience-wise?
Oh, well, I kind of liken it to an apple tree. On an apple tree, there's always low-hanging fruit. There's high-hanging fruit. There's medium range hanging fruit. Some stuff you got to get a ladder to get up to. Other stuff, you just walk right up and it practically falls right into your hand. And teaching is a lot of the same way. I started teaching probably long before you could honestly say I was a competent teacher. I knew what I knew, and I could only teach somebody up to what I knew. So, again, I was that low-hanging branch, low-hanging fruit. So, as you progress, and the longer you've been teaching, the longer you've been at it, the more varying things that you've learned and you know that become facts, and that you can teach and do so in a way that's efficient and that everybody can understand. The type of person that wants to learn from you will continue to grow too as well. So it's kind of hard to decide when is that right time for you to teach. But I think ethically speaking, if you're going to teach someone, you need to be real serious about your current education level in the craft. If you are taking hundreds of hours a year in classes yourself, again, a lot of master smiths do continual study. We're constantly learning this art here, this art form. If you're taking, hundreds of hours of self-study yourself, you're putting in the time at the forge, you're putting in the work on the daily, and somebody says, hey, could you teach me how to put a taper on the end of a bar? Anybody should be able to reach out and teach someone how to put a taper on the end of the bar. Are they going to do it as good as maybe someone who does it every day for a living or the most efficient way? No, they just simply ask, hey, can you help me put a taper on the end of a bar? That sort of thing on the foundational level, fundamental level, that's all on you as an instructor. It really is. So you have got to gauge where you're at on that pecking order. A lot of times in today's society, we don't like to acknowledge that there is a pecking order to things. But there has always been a pecking order in blacksmithing, and there will always be a pecking order in blacksmithing. Call it unfortunate, it just is what it is. There's a pecking order in life, if you will. And guys that have been doing it for 35, 40 years, and they've done gates and railings and castle fronts and you name it, and moats and like whatever, right? Like balusters and stuff. They're not going to want to listen to me talk about scroll work, right? Because there's a pecking order. I'm not on their level. There's something I could learn from them. But likewise, they may not know jack diddly about engraving work or chisel work like I do. So then they're going to have, again, so everyone has something that they can teach, but you do have to establish where exactly you are on that pecking order. And just be honest. Don't be self-degrading to yourself. That's a big one. That's a hard one for me. I'll be like, I don't really know if I could teach somebody. I don't know if I'm smart enough or I can do this. And it's like, dude, you've been at it for coming up on 14 years, It's like, yeah, you should be able to teach somebody how to make a scroll. Because, I'll get that self-doubt of like, do I really know what I'm talking about here? yeah, I do. I do know what I'm talking about. It's just, you know, one of those confidence things. But just being cautious about who you're teaching and what you're teaching. And if you don't know the information, be honest with a person. Be honest with a person and refer them to somebody who does know that information. It will look better upon your character, you know, afterwards. I can't, there are a certain group of blacksmiths out there, kind of a bit of the old guard of blacksmithing. I've heard some murmurs and some complaints of like the young whippersnappers coming in and teaching people how to forge, almost like as if it's like it was like their rite of passage to be able to pass on to you. They're the Bogarters, you know, they're the guards of whether all this knowledge of whether you're allowed to learn or not. That I don't get down with. I do think that you have to be honest with yourself and honest with the person who's wanting to learn from you. And as long as those are both upheld, and what is being taught is both educationally sound and safe for best practices, then have at it at whatever age. So, I guess that could be kind of a little Roy rant, you know, one day on that. But it's an interesting topic I could talk about all night.
Sounded like the beginnings of a Roy rant.
It did, huh? So let's go back to camera number 2, Jess, real quick. Okay. I'm going to finish the forming on this. Nice and clean forging. That's what you're looking for. I'm going to burn my what?
Fancy finial.
Fancy finial, yeah. I've got the airflow on low, so hopefully that won't work. Hopefully that won't happen. But yes, you're right. You're right, veteran. All right. Go ahead and brush this real quick. And now we're ready for the next part. Now we put in the twist. The twist. That's all nice and cleaned up.
Justin Ray, thank you for the $40 super chat. He says, start of the new laptop fund, laptop for Jessica fund.
Hey, thank you, Justin. Greatly appreciate that. God bless you.
Also, thank you, Hans, for the $50 super chat. He says, good night, all. I must bid you all good evening, dinner and family time. Blessings to you, Roy and Jess, and my friends.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Blessings to your family as well. Tell them that we said hi from your friends in the isolated north. Thank you so much for that.
Eric Zorger has a good question for you. Is there one tool that you find irreplaceable for blacksmithing to the point where if you lost everything, it would be the first item replaced?
A tool irreplaceable? In my shop? My hammer. My hand hammer. This thing to me is just, this thing's irreplaceable. So, and I've thought about when I'm going to retire it, and I will retire it eventually, just because it has sentimental value to me, longer than just it being a using tool. It's done a lot of years of service for me so far, but I do see that it's getting a little long in the tooth and weathered. So I do hope to make another hammer, similar weight, size, dimension, all that. A little bit more ornate on the sides of the hammer. And then, yeah, this one's going to go on my trophy shelf on a wall somewhere and give it a nice retirement and a send-off. But it has served me well for many, 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 many years. Oh.
Jared Russell from Veteran Iron and Wood says, speaking of hammers, you didn't forget about mine, did you, Roy? Smiley face.
No, Jared, I haven't. I haven't forgot about yours. It has gotten, unfortunately, it got put on the side shelf for far too long over the holiday season and all the insaneness around my last classes of the year and things like that. And I've been dogged out ever since. I have not forgotten about yours. In fact, unfortunately, however you want to say it, it's in billet format right now. So I've got the wrought, just need to put it in the fire and get a clear day of forging on it. I was hoping to do that at the beginning of this year, first this year, but we had that live stream of the membership thing and then my teeth. So it's been like one thing right after the other. But no, I haven't forgot yours. And to be truthfully honest, that's a great point to put out something. I like to talk about that a little bit. Like I myself, and I'm sure there's other smiths that have this happen to them too. After you put so much work into a particular piece, you put a lot of yourself into it, and then if you have a failure in that piece, it is really hard to get back on the horse. Get back on the horse again. And really difficult, mentally difficult, because it's like, I need to scramble and get that back together. And in my world, I allow certain time blocks to get work done in mentally. Like, okay, I can work on this, I can focus, I can do my best work right now. And then if something comes in and corrupts that time block, I'm hunting for that next time block. It's not like, oh, well, I could just go out there and put 10 minutes in on it. No, I need to be focused because it matters, because it needs to hold together as well as mine has done for, 10 years, right? 9 years, 20 years, 100 years, whatever. It needs to hold together that well. And so some things I do like that they get me, they get me really off track. So, yep. But no, haven't forgotten about you. Willing to put the time in it. And I've actually closed my books on orders this first part of the year for anybody who's wanting anything new until I get yours done and one other person's in the community's done, which is a highly custom made hammer as well. So once those are done, I will feel a load of relief for sure. What's up? Good?
Yama says, gotta do a retirement party video for the hammer. I can show you how. Smiley face.
Thank you, Yalmas. I'm sure you could. Let's go to camera number 2 real quick. I gotta twist this and get this going. All right, so I'm just gonna use a pair of scrolling tongs to twist this. All we're doing is 90 degrees. Twisting at 90 degrees, and then we're gonna forge out the twist. You may find it advantageous if you come to the horn to forge out that little area. Come to the flat. All right, that looks good. I might refine that through one more heat. But now it's in the correct orientation for this to be rolled up. Can they see that okay? See that all right? Yeah. Questions?
Some comments around the hammer sending off party. Let's see here. Mike Bernard, yes, I agree. I tell my kids, don't ever touch that baby. Don't ever touch that hammer. It's my baby. And Corey Shire, this is my hammer. There are many like it, but this one is mine. I must master my hammer as I must master my life.
There's going to be some great stuff, huh? Are you on my speaker? Okay, good. You guys are hilarious. I wish I could see that chat. That's going to be the next upgrade in the shop, hopefully. Have a hanging screen monitor so I can look up and see some of these chats in action, in the moments. Oh.
Speargrass Forge says, will you break out the cold and flu syrup for the hammer send-off, Roy? Laughy face.
Might bring out a bunch of tears. Nah, it'll be a good celebration. All right, what else we got, Jess?
Metal Blueberries asks, what would be the best place to order in material to make a hammer? I'm in Texas, so it would probably have to be ordered.
Good question. I think in Texas, I would go to Alro Steel. That's what I'd go with. I'd go with Alro Steel. There's a lot of online metal outlets, but they basically just buy their stuff from the bigger guys and then charge a markup. So, and then pass those savings on to you as they ship it to you as well. So it's usually 5 times more expensive to have it shipped to you online than it is just to drive over to wherever you need to go to take and get your steel. Principally because steel weighs a lot. It weighs a lot, so it's going to cost you a lot to have it shipped to you. So I would suggest just finding your local Alro or Benjamin Steel or something like that, a steel distributor in your local vicinity or nearest big town, and get it from there. Know what you want. Ask if they've got it before you make the drive. If they don't have it, usually they can order it in from one of their other steel supply places. Like Alro, they can have it next day. They have a big thing. Again, I'm not sponsored by Alro, but they can have it next day. Alro Steel can. And you can say, hey, I need 300 feet of 1045 2-inch round. If it's on their website, they'll get it to you next day. Oh, yeah, but you're going to pay for it. I mean, it's costly, but you'll have it, buddy. So that would be my suggestion on that. There's a lot of online metal places that people buy from, but as far as from what I can tell, they basically buy their steel from these bigger companies and then just turn around and put a markup on it. So they're kind of like I don't know what you would call it. Second-hand steel, I guess. Third-party steel operators or something. You know, they just, a lot of the online metal places, that's what they do. They're not bringing you anything that you can't get from the big guys. So.
Joshua Delisle says, sledge nice. You guys got snow too, I guess. Well, got maybe half an inch here in the UK.
Yeah, well, we have snow, and we still have snow up here in northern Michigan. So even when it's not snowing, there's still snow on the ground. So it just stays cold all winter. Kind of the way I like it. I like there to just be snow, and then for it to melt off, have the big melt in spring. And yeah, and then we get right back into good temperatures again. If it's going to be winter, let there be snow. So, thanks for being here, Joshua. Greatly appreciate that, brother. And great job on that hammer and all the upgrades you're doing to it. That's awesome. Let's go to camera number 2, Jessica. All right. I'm going to dress those sides a bit more just because they were needing it. I want to dress out any thickness I have going into that shoulder. Back to original parent bar thickness. All right, there we go. You do want to watch, however, to get this thing too thin. You don't want to get it too thin, but you just want it to look good and be forged out nicely. So hopefully everybody can see that okay. Look good? Good confirmation that way. Confirmation that way. Looks good. All right. Now we heat it for scrolling. Comments, Jessica. Am I answering everybody's comments good enough? Good.
Yama says, you scroll back to it. He says, honestly, guys, you have a great system in place for handling us chatters. I tell you from experience, it slows the project way down big time to have to read the chats.
Well, I'm glad we got a great system that works for people. That's it's good. There's some things coming in that are going to change that system up a little bit, make it hopefully a little bit easier on Jess. Oh, looking forward to that. Just waiting on things to ship in, huh? So, be good. Looking forward to all good things. Thank you to channel members.
Joshua Delisle says, love you guys. Best time for forging is in the winter. I have it in the summer. Thank you for watching my power hammer video. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, certainly did. And if anybody doesn't know who Joshua Delisle, designer blacksmith is, you're living under a rock. You should really know him. He is a great guy, great friend of the channel, and you should go check him out, show his channel some love. He's got a great like little air-powered power hammer that he's been designing over the past year or so, over last year, and maybe even potentially, Josh, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, even a year or two, I think he's been designing this thing, and it's been in the works. And real humble dude, great guy to know. So I don't know if you could put a link to his channel there. Or... Nope, just search him up on YouTube. That's a great way. He's got a great channel, really worth the watch. All right, I'm gonna speed up the airflow on this a little bit so we can get this going.
Your cousin said, or nephew, hey, Uncle Roy, it's Gianni, love ya.
Hey, G, love you, little buddy. Not so little buddy anymore.
Todd Good said, speaking of orders, his plans bundle came in the mail today. Good.
Awesome.
Glad it made it to you.
Get that clinker out of the fire.
Corey Shire says, speaking of metal supply stores, I got a place called Endura Steel Supply, only 5 to 6 miles away, but I can't see specific types of steel or prices on their website, so I guess you can't order online.
Yeah, just got to go in and talk to them. I will say with Alro Steel, you do not want to order online. They put out an insane premium for online purchasers. It's ridiculous, and I'm talking 3 times more expensive than what it is if you go in store and talk to somebody, or you call them up and have them give you a quote. You can email them and have them give you a quote if you talk to somebody specifically, but if you just type in and like add to cart things in line, like, oh my God. It's like they're sending them to you from Timbuktu or something. Everything costs like hundreds upon hundreds of dollars for stuff that shouldn't ever be that expensive. So buyer beware there. What's up? Got more comments, or are we good? We good? I need a few more moments to get this hot. It's almost there.
Sid Stone, I'm glad that your mom loved the enameled water droplet color necklace. Yeah, I enjoy working on those. Sometimes I don't get out to do the enameling until an order comes in, so I use that as also for some playtime. Joshua says, you're too kind, Roy. Thank you. Been on and off building the hammer, working full-time leaves me with little time in the forge, but all is changing, and hopefully I'll have more time to forge again.
Not too kind, just honest. Just honest. But yeah, hopefully you can get back to producing some regular content eventually. I really enjoy all your videos, so every time you put one out, I like to watch it. Don't always stop in and leave a comment. That's bad of me, I should. But I do enjoy watching, for sure. For sure, so great channel.
Okay.
We ready? We good? All right, let's go to camera number 2. Showcase what we're doing. Still not as hot as I would like, but it looks good on camera where you guys can see it. So I'm gonna start forming this over. I'm gonna be careful not to roll that too tight. If you roll this too tight, you'll end up with a kink or a little cold shut in it. You don't want to do that right off the bat. You want this to roll up nicely. Start it rolling. I need to get more heat in that. Just making sure it's square. And the one thing I'm going to do now, can they see that okay? One thing I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to put my scroll jig up on here. And I'm going to test the fit to see where I'm at. Yeah, so that's not too bad. I can go a little bit more. Roll that around. That's not too bad there. So there we have it. So what I'm going to do for this first one, since they're runners on a sled, I'm going to scroll this around until it looks good according to my figurative drawing back there in the background. I'm going to scroll it around until it looks good, and then wherever that I end that mark at, I will put a pencil mark right there, and I'll make the next one scroll around to that point, if that makes sense. So now it's hot enough for us to do that. I'm going to keep this end up out of the fire. I'm going to keep this portion up out of the fire, and I'm just going to heat back in here now to pull it around the form, the scroll form itself. And now we move this around to where it fits better.
We have a tarot, says, watching this from Finland, you give a lot of good advice, although not everything applies here.
Watcher from Finland said what?
You give a lot of good advice, although not everything applies here.
Oh, well, hopefully it doesn't, well, hopefully you could take what is applicable to you and your country and it works out really well for you.
They say, oh, no snow on the shop today.
Not.
It was acting like it this morning. This morning we got a good snow come through from the north. In fact, we got, like, this is the north wall of the shop. And so we had, I mean, it was coming directly I mean, it was 90-degree angle, whoosh, like straight across. And I was really, I was really thinking that there was going to be nothing but snow in here that I had to contend with. But fortunately enough, that wasn't the case. So yay for us. Hooray. Hooray, hooroo. Yeah, that was a good class. I'm glad that was one of his favorites. Had a lot of fun. It was good. It was a good time, and I'm glad that Jamie Geyer had one of those that we could copy off of and pattern this scroll off of. That was really nice. That was moving some large steel. That stuff's, you know, 1/2 inch thick by 1.25 inches. So that was a lot to move as far as in a scroll is concerned. For everybody, but everybody did a really great job in class. It was a fun class, fun time. I love it when students pick up what I'm putting down. They learn it and they're like, woo, okay, hey, yeah, I understand what you're doing here, and they get it figured out. I love that, seeing that seeing that glint that comes in your eye when you first realize something about forging that you didn't previously realize about forging.
Let's see here. Speargrass Forge says that's not for the kids. It's for Roy to hook to the dogs to get to the workshop. LOL. Or it could be ostriches.
Or it could be ostriches. Could be ostriches.
Go. Are we ready?
Sure. Titus Blacksmith Forge says, sorry, but never late than better. Better late than never.
Yeah.
Better late than never. We ready? All right. Move this stand out of the way. Let's just stay at main cam. Well, I don't know. Do you think the bottom cam looks better for this? Okay. If it looks a little bit better to go to the bottom one, go ahead and do that. Oh. All right. So I'm going to hook this on, this over. Now I'm going to pull this right on around, preferably. You don't want to go too far with this. Once you get back into the black, the black heat back here, you'll start pulling, you'll pucker, you'll stretch and pucker the red heat portion or the hottest portion of your scroll, and you don't want to do that. Yeah, so that looks pretty good. I do need to adjust it a little. You can start getting it back in line a little bit. It's good there. Now, ordinarily, I would show you guys how to do all this by hand, but I need to make two roughly looking exactly alike, which I can do by hand, but I don't want to take this, I don't want to make this project take forever. So to get as much as we can in the streams done, I need to take some shortcuts. Can they see that on camera number 2? So there we go. We got that scroll started. Now I'm going to check it by my drawing. And as you can see, it's not quite like the other one, is it? So that's okay, right? That's why it's a figurative drawing. It still looks good like that. So we will continue.
Let's see here. Can this jig be made from smaller stock, like 1/4 by 1?
What's that?
Can the jig be made from like 1/4 by 1?
I didn't hear you. Ken or Kim?
Can the jig be made from 1/4 by 1 inch stock for a scroll jig?
It can, but you have got to be real careful on what you pull around it. This jig is thick enough that once I get this around to a certain point, I could clamp it and pull the rest of this cold. I could do 1/4 inch by 1 inch flat stock around this whole thing cold after I've gotten this tight portion done. So if you're going to work nothing but hot material on it, you can do 1/4 by 1, but I highly suggest that you work with like 3/8 probably as a minimum. 3/8 by 1 inch flat stock, or better yet, do 3/8 by 1.25 inches. If you can do that, or if if all you've got is 1/4 by 1 flat stock on hand and you need to make a jig, sure, go ahead and make it out 1/4 by 1 flat stock. But if you want a jig that's going to hold up for a really long time, something that you can clamp things to, and like bend and even kind of beat on around the jig or something like that, you'll want to go with a thicker material. But I suggest usually as a minimum 3/8 by 1.25 inches material. That's my suggestion anyhow. But you can make it out of a lot of different things, different size stuff. Whatever really tickles your fancy when it comes to that. It just depends on the stock usually that's going around the jig is thinner or less robust than the jig itself. So you just need to make the jig thicker usually than the part that you're going to be bending around as a general rule, and you'll be fine.
Brian Neely says, quote, "You love when students pick up what you lay down, so long as it isn't the bar you just pulled out of the fire." Question mark?
Nope, I love that too. I love that too. Because it's a good learning experience for them. Not to pick up things I just laid down.
Joshua asked, "What coal do you use, Roy? I'm thinking of trying steam coal. I hear a lot of good things about it."
The coal that I'm using is actually coke. Well, it's metallurgical coke that I bought. Oh, I used to use bimutamis coal or bitmutamis or however you want to pronounce it. Everybody pronounces it a little bit different. I used Pocahontas type coal is what it was called here. Some people call it Pennsylvania coal.
By the way, we are past 6 o'clock, so whenever you decide it's a good time for the big reveal, you are free to do so.
Yeah, we should do that, huh? We should do the big reveal. Let me finish this runner real quick, okay? We are almost there, so. All right, we ready? Which one do you think's better? The main cam? Between the two? Okay. I'll put it in your hands, my dear. I always do this. I regret it every time. That's the hardest part, is just remembering how you did this. Now I'm turning the jig in the hardy hole of the anvil, so this way I do not have to walk in front of the camera like crazy. I'll clean that off the brush a little bit. That looks better. Looks good. All right. Can they see? Camera number 2. Looking good? Good. We'll check this against the scroll. This is where it's nice to have this on a flat. And we're getting there. So we're looking good. I got to make sure this is exactly where I want to go with this. I'm kind of committed now. Yeah, it's starting to arc out nicely. So we'll start kind of loosely coming around this now. And that should work out okay. So nice big long heat. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints?
Newt is talking about how much he doesn't like the snow and everybody's razzing him, so
Nope.
Newt's leather.
So just general jackwagonry then, huh? Yeah. Well, good. Well, good. Glad to know. Glad to know it.
Wayne Height says, "Good evening, wonderful people. I hope everyone is well."
Hey, Wayne, we are doing very well. Thank you, sir, for asking. Good evening. All right, we ready to go for a big reveal? Yeah. You ready? Is everybody ready to find out what the new year is going to be? Last year was the year of the anvil. What's this year? What's this year going to be? People had their guesses. People had their concerns. People had their side conversations. What will that wacky northern smith do next? Oh man, I'm looking forward to this. Let's hear it. What are we doing? We're just standing around. Okay, so first off, I'll go ahead and get into a little bit of details, and then we'll do our little review, our little reveal. Okay? So a few things about the streams are going to be changing in 2021. What will be changing about the streams predominantly is that we will have one forging-centric live stream at the beginning of the month. And then the second live stream of the month, usually about midway through the month, will be our giveaway stream, where we'll be giving away all sorts of door prizes, goodies, and what this new year is going to be called. So we'll be giving away that item as well. So that's super exciting. The reason why we need to make this change is that the time scale for us, we're between giving things away, then having to package stuff, waiting on people to get us their information, get stuff shipped out, so on and so forth. We just ran out of time, and all of a sudden it was the next stream already. And then we had to kind of get everything going again. And then that also made it kind of heck on the budget too, when we were trying to figure out making sure we had enough money to be able to give away all the things that we were promising out, right? So that was a little bit on the headache side of things. So what we're doing this year differently is we will have one forging dedicated stream like what you see here. If that's what you're into, you're not really into the giveaway streams anyhow, that's fine. You get one whole stream where there's no giveaways, there's no fast-paced chatting or anything like that. It's just purely entertainment and learning and education on blacksmithing. So that's change number one for the new year. Also, that change will also allow us concentrating it all into one stream. That will allow us to go bigger on the things that we give away. And that's going to bring us into the next thing that we're giving away. Ain't that right, Jessica? That's awesome. Okay, so should we do a drum roll before you go on to what it's going to be? All right. Are they all excited? They ready? All right. Are you ready? When I stop ringing this anvil, Jessica is going to pop up a little screen here so you guys can see what it is. Hopefully there's not too long of a delay. Didn't think about that. You ready? Set. Go. And are we good? Yep. And there you have it, folks. This year of 2021 is going to be called the Year of the Swedge. That's right, we're going to be giving away one swedge block every single month, all of 2021. And that is brought to you by not only the beautiful, beautiful donations that you all have been doing through the stream with the super chats and all that stuff, and all of the great channel members, but we partnered with Greg at Holland Anvil this year to be able to make this possible. So thank you, Greg, over at Holland Anvil. You are an excellent guy, great to deal with. Thank you so much. And so he has decided to help us be able to do this year and provide these anvils, provide these swedge blocks to us at a cost that is affordable to us, that we can give them away, because his mission is like ours. He wants to get good tools and tooling, blacksmith tools, in blacksmiths' hands, and good, specifically USA-made tools. So I'm super excited about this little partnership, partnering with Greg. I think it's going to be a great thing. Like I said, we see eye to eye on a lot of things, so I think it's going to be a good thing for all. What do you think, Jess? Everybody excited about that?
They are, yeah, they're digging it.
Yeah, good. I'm not that great at reading adverts out loud. Like, I'm not reading anything. I'm just winging it off the cuff. You could probably tell. But yeah, Greg was super, super gracious to take and work with us this year, so we can bring out 12 swedge blocks this year to be able to give away in our streams, and super excited about that. So, with that being said, if you need a swedge block and you don't want to win one, go see Greg at Holland Anvil. Yep, go see him. They are a very popular swedge block. He's got a lot of really great anvils as well, really great anvils to check out, and you definitely should do that. I plan on this year hopefully buying a couple of his anvils and you know, doing some reviews on them, and also the swedge block. I've already got a swedge block purchase that I'll have in not too long that I purchased full price, my own money, so I could do a little review on it and do things like show you how to dress them up nicely and things like that for forging and whatnot. They're already a nice product and tool to begin with, so that makes the dressing up on them even easier. But yeah, I'm super excited. What's people saying, Jeff?
Sure. Yeah. I'll answer a couple of questions about it and read some of the comments. Stephen Watkins says, I have this exact one and it is awesome. Jeff Calvin says, very nice of you in Holland. Bryson Eldon says, just fabulous. Wayne Heinz, wow, what a generous and wonderful gift. Blessings to you all. And to answer some of the questions, the shipping will be, we asked him about that today. He said the shipping, because he uses a USPS box, flat rate box, that it will be open to the 50 states plus Puerto Rico. So that'll be the geographical locations that it'll ship to. And also, somebody had mentioned, Dane Rich, that when you had looked at them last, they were unavailable. He did just make them available again yesterday. Here in Michigan, we were having some shipping kerfluffles in December, so that kind of affected the swedge blocks previously, but they are available now. And if you're itching to buy one right off the bat, again, his website is hollandanvil.com.
On me? Good. You can also check him out. He's really active over on Facebook, him and his son, who runs this company. You know, that they work together. And again, great people to deal with. And I'm not just saying that just because they're helping me get swedge blocks to you guys. It's that they are really good at replying right away and right from moment one. That, you know, taking care of business, taking care of their customers, and again, providing really great stuff. So I suggest you connect with them on Facebook, connect with them over at their website. If you're interested in getting a swedge from them, definitely do that and show your support there. Yeah, they were offline for a little bit because, like we had problems with as well, USPS was just so terribly backed up that they were not sending things through. So instead of constantly shipping new products out, he took the hit on the business chin, so like we all have to do sometimes, and he said, okay, no more, I'm not shipping anything else out until they get caught up. And which is a smart choice, because nothing like having a whole bunch of, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars just sitting out in the mail and no way of ever collecting on it. So
Graham,
Anyway, so that's going to be that. That's going to be awesome.
Graham asked if the dish is the same size as the one on your swedge block you use all the time.
The largest dish is the size of my largest ladle depression, and then they go down from there. My green Monagle that I have, it's got a big 7.5 inch wide depression in it, like a great big giant bowl depression in it. And I have not found another swedge block that really has that in it, except for the green Monagles or however you pronounce their name. So this is hot. I need to bend this. So can we do that real quick? Yeah. All right. I'm gonna have to shift it again, and that's going to cause problems because I won't remember how I did it. I did what I told everybody not to do. Of course, just like a good instructor would, do the exact thing you tell the students not to do. that on there one more time. There we go. Good. There, we're looking good. You can see that all right? Yeah. Cool. I'm going to compare this now to our thing. Of course, I can go a bit more with it and still get what I need, so good. I need to make a little kicktail at the end of the piece, so I need to make sure I have enough for that, but we got enough for one more wrap around here. And before I take it off the jig this time, I'm actually going to mark it with some soapstone. So this way I know where to come back to with the next one.
Stephen Watkins says service at Holland Anvil is superior. Let's see here. Joshua Delisle says, that's awesome. I would love a swedge block. I need a bigger workshop first. Lovely to see you both. I'm going to disappear now, but looking forward to seeing the sled when it's finished, and thank you.
Hey, take care, Joshua. Greatly appreciate you stopping by, brother. And again, if anybody is in the market to see some really great entertainment, go watch Joshua's Isle. You're missing out if you're not subscribed to his channel. You should go give him a follow. He's also on Instagram. Follow him there too.
David Lewis of Broken Anvil Forge says, $175 is a great price. Thank you for that information, Roy. I don't know if I can wait to win one.
I wouldn't. They might go fast, so. Yeah, so speaking of which, are we back on my mic? Okay. Speaking of which, this is something that I hope to do continually, every year to up the ante. You know, last year we had the anvils. And to the best of my knowledge, I'm the first smith to give away 12 anvils in a year. To the best of my knowledge. It's probably been done before. But again, in 2020, I was just super thankful for all the support from you guys out there, all your love and support in the community. And especially, it really helped having all the channel members as well later on in the year for all the giveaway items and really ramping up the giveaways. I don't know what I would have been able to do with the Christmas giveaway live stream. I don't know if that would have been as big and an epic or possible without that support. So again, just everybody give them a round of applause, and anybody who super chats. If you're in my stream and somebody super chats, that means they're taking money out of their life and their pocketbook to put in ours to help fund these things. So please give them a round of applause as well. I'm just super thankful for that. Really super thankful for that support in every single way, every single you know, connotation of the word. I am super thankful and appreciative and very grateful for you. I'm very grateful for anybody who's watching this right now. You're taking time out of your day, and you know, that's awesome. I mean, it might not be awesome for you, take time out of your day, but it's awesome for me. You guys are here, you're learning something. I wouldn't be here, I wouldn't be an online educator, I wouldn't be teaching if there wasn't anybody to watch, right? Nobody was watching, so thank you for your support in that way as well. It is greatly appreciated.
Yeah.
That I hope to do going forward. You know, hopefully, if I'm going on too much of a tangent, Jess, and you have questions you want answered, just let me know. Raise your hand or something. Say, hey, teacher, hey. Yeah, this is something that I want to continue to do every single year, is get good tools, good quality tools in beginners' hands, and just get them out there, back out into the community. And we get to do that with your guys' support, and we just thank you for that. And then hopefully we can partner with some more great companies, hopefully American companies that are willing to partner with us and bring these things to you, you know, and to be able to do that. That's awesome. To be able to do that, and I hope that we can be that GUI center, the little hub of distribution, that will work out very well.
Wayne Heights says, do you think you will get enough snow to get use of that wonderful sled?
Yep, we got snow on the ground right now that we could use it on. So I tried a test piece earlier. I just kind of curled it just to see if I could slide it outside, and this stuff slid like crazy. It was like, whoop! I'm like, that's going to be a fast one. When I get this thing together, it's going to be fast, way faster than them plastic dealies. So
This is hot.
go to the anvil. I mean, okay. Put that on. Get them used to it first. Get them some feeling. get the kids to be able to feel how this is going to feel. I did what I said I wasn't going to do. I need to check it. I don't think it's quite there yet. I think I need to go just a buzz more with it. We will check it real quick. Yep, so that's as far as that's going to go. It's not going to be as tall. That's fine. I wrapped up more in it than I thought I was going to, because that center spiral is a lot tighter than what I drew mine. I should have anticipated for that. So this will come out a little shorter than the drawing, but like I said at the beginning, that's a figurative drawing, just to keep me on track of what I'm trying to achieve. So that's going to be good enough there. We'll put this back on this scroll form. And we'll get a bit of soapstone. I got over here. The reason that you have to keep tapping on this on around, if you take it off, is this shrinks as it's cooling. And so you have to keep tapping it around the form to get it back on if you're going to mark this out. So what I'm looking for is where the end of the curvature is and where it goes straight at, where it just starts to leave the scroll form. And that's where I'm going to put a bit of a pencil mark at. And that should ensure that I get two exact runners exactly the same. So there we go. That's all right. And truth be told, this is probably a little bit more proportionate to where I was wanting to go than this big open scroll. This gives it a little bit more. You know, it just gives it just a little bit more interest to it than that big, large open scroll did. So that's not bad there. I can live with it. We'll make the other one. Again, I knew I knew it was going to be different. I knew those dimensions were going to be different because of this scroll form is not, it's not the same size as what I drew there. If I really wanted that, I would have probably had to freehand it. But like I said, I'm trying to shortcut some corners a little bit to save time. I have another scroll form over there I could have probably used. We would have probably made that a little more close like it. But then I would have still had to freehand some things, which I didn't want to do. So how do they like that? Does that look good? Yeah. Good to them? Can they see that okay? Okay. All right, I can set that aside. That's all square. Looks good. Year of the Swedge has begun. And let everybody be off to the races. There we go. A little bit there. And we're in line. Looks good. All right. Runner number 1 done.
Question for you. Which do you think is better, a cast iron What? No, sorry. A cast steel anvil or a forged anvil?
I'm a sucker for forged steel anvils. Cast steel anvils are just as just as good a quality as anything you could buy forged. So, yeah, there's really not any better at this point in time, mainly because our knowledge of metallurgy has come leaps and bounds since the times when other cast anvils, you hear a lot of stuff like older anvils, old cast steel anvils or cast iron anvils with steel tops. They tried everything to make an anvil way back in the day, and they came out with some real junk ones that got circulated around, and then cast steel anvils got a bad rap because of that. But cast steel anvils now, heck, the ones that are being made, especially like the ones at Holland Anvil, they're like the cream of the crop. They're at the top of the line for anvils, to be speaking. Forged anvils, I'm a sucker for forged anvils. I love forged anvils. I do. I love forged anvils. I can't hide my bias towards forged anvils. But yeah, that's my suggestion on that. I'd say cast anvils now, they've come so far that really you're not going to notice a huge difference. There's enough mass under the hammer, and there's enough hardness on the surface to reduce, to resist wear and tear. You're not going to know the difference in hand, whether you're working on a cast or a forged steel one. All right, so there you go. You can see how that looks. Look how much that took. Material. Can they see? They can't see my boots, can they? Okay. Yeah, if you look at that, that's how much stock went into that. Yep, it's a good bit. That's a bunch that goes in there. It really eats it up real quick. This is a 6-foot bar. No, eats it up quicker than you think. On to the next one.
Wayne Hines says, that will be awesome. Wax them runners up and fly down the hill.
Heck yeah. $6.40, okay. Well, we might not get through this next one tonight. I'd like to be in a little earlier this evening, since last time was a 3-hour stream. Only 3 hours and all. Be a little more conscientious of time tonight. How's everyone enjoyed the stream and the format so far?
Brute Lemon says, Roy, you are supposed to be wearing flip-flops.
Don't think so. Don't think so.
Tom Carlson says it's looking good.
Oh.
Brett Larson says, Roy, did you put up new planks for the wall? I know I've missed the last few streams, but it looks different.
What? New planks. No, all the planks are the same on this side. On Jessica's side, those are the same planks as when we moved in. We had to patch a big hole because they cut a big hole in the side of the barn. Don't know why they couldn't just use the door, because they wanted to park a hay binder in here. Don't know why. Whatever. There is a door. They could have used that instead, but anyways, they decided to go through the wall instead. So we had to repatch that, had to reframe that thing in and do that. One thing I have done is I have done some work up top and patched some holes to stop as much snow from getting in for some boards that have blown off, some barn siding that blew off there. I still have the giant hole above my head in the barn siding that I need to get fixed. And then effectively you won't see as much snow in my shop anymore. And then, yeah, hopefully sometime this upcoming spring, I will be able to get the siding on the shop done, weather and time permitted. So that's what I'm hoping for in the spring. Yeah, there's kind of right now, right now there's been some changes. I'm making some changes this year that I think is good, and I think it'll be a good, healthy thing for us. It'll be a healthy thing for the channel, and it'll just be healthy all around. It's just one of those difficult things to stop doing what you've always done and expecting a different result. So to stop doing crazy and try to do something different. That's kind of the difficult thing. But some of the stuff that I'll be doing this year, making a big change. I've seen other smiths do this, and I have admired them for a long time about this. One of those smiths in particular is John Switzer over at Black Bear Forge. I really like him for the fact that he knows when to quit. He knows when to say no to whatever work that he's wanting to do there. And so that's something that I'm going to be doing this year a lot more of. I'm going to have open books and closed books. So I'll open my book for a short period of time where I'll do ironwork for folks, custom work, and then that's it. I'm going to close the books after that and get on to other things in my life just to keep a better balance for myself. The things that I need to have done, I've got work already that's been sitting for a while that I need to get to. I've got 2 hammers that I got to work on. Well, technically, I've got 4 hammers I've got to work on. 4 promised out hammers, and then those will be my last custom hammers I ever make for anybody. Like, I'm done with it. I'm not set up to make really, to be efficient at making hammers. They're all done by hand, and then they're highly sculpted. And so at the end of the day, I'm not set up to do hammers. I've already turned down several sledgehammer jobs and other hammer orders that people are wanting to come in. I've decided that that's one nail in the coffin I'm definitely going to drive for the year of 2021. And I'm going to push more towards my goals, which is doing not only French Baroque ironwork, but sculptural work, the type of sculptural work that I want to get into. And hopefully I can take people along for the ride for that. I still got a 16-foot driveway gate I've got to build. That has been a slow process just because everything going on in the world. It hasn't been a good time for that to go on just yet. So that's still in the works. I'll need time for that. I'll need time to film that as well. Those sort of things. So a lot of changes in 2021. So it's gonna be a good thing. We're still gonna do YouTube. We're still gonna do all of our live streams. It's gonna be exciting. We're gonna be able to give away items. Friday night, door prizes, still keep up with some great stuff like that. It's only going to get better from here, and that's my anticipation anyhow. What about you, Jess? You excited?
I am, yeah. It's going to be great.
Yeah? Excited and petrified all at the same time. We've went through several of these times in life, haven't we? Where, we're doing one thing and then we realize we got to switch it up and do things a little bit differently. Some people don't like change, and it's uncomfortable to change sometimes, but again, it can also be very, very good and, build you a lot more solid for the future. But yeah, so all that's coming up this year. Tons of giveaway items. We're still going to be, making blinks for blacksmiths and stuff like that. We got that going as well. That's going to be, that has been very good, and super thankful to everyone who's purchased blinks from us. That's been a good thing. So there'll still be some more videos on that yet coming out. Some different designs for Mother's Day and for Valentine's Day. Yeah, we got a few plans like that, a few designs coming out for that. That we're working on the back end. But at the end of the day, what I really want to be able to do is I want to do my sculptural work, and I want to be able to bring a new perspective on YouTube other than what I'm doing right now. I've got the Lumberman series that I'd like to do. I got different things I would like to teach, different processes I would like to hone in on. So yeah, all in all, 2021, it's going to be an exciting year, hopefully, of all sorts of good stuff. I got to get my long and very patient, my long-term jobs for my super very patient clients done first and foremost, and then I can move on with my life. I get to move on with my life. One of those things I haven't talked about much. We can go camera number 2 just real quick. All right, Cuban material. Better. Just like the other one.
Okay. Charming Hollow Forge had commented, cast is much louder than forged wrought anvils. No. Examples such as Fisher's and Holland's are louder.
There's a lot of contributing factors to that. One, hardness will change the pitch of an anvil. Two, design will change the pitch of the anvil, whether it be louder or lower tones. And then what you're mounting it to. That's all going to vary. If you were hanging them all up by a piece of twine up in the air and you rung each one, I don't know if there's ever been a test done on that. And so therefore I think a lot of it comes down to more subjecture. You know, somebody's, or what do you want to call it, conjecture? Is that the correct terminology for that? It's subjective in nature. So people say, oh, that's louder, or oh, I'd never own a cast anvil, or whatever. Some people are like, oh no, I only forge on forged anvils. Olga rings like the Liberty Bell. If she's not on this bass, you can tap it and it'll play a long note for 20 minutes. I kid you not. Loudest anvil I've ever worked on. I've worked on other cast anvils, however, not even mounted as good as Olga is, again, sitting on the ground and don't ring at all. So it really depends on the material it's made from, how hard those materials are, how much mass is in the anvil, the way it's designed, what it's sitting on, those sort of things, just the general harmonics of the anvil. If you've noticed, Hans, yourself, that it is true that these things are, that cast rings louder, then I can't argue it. I haven't ever done a side-by-side comparison. But you know, if I hit this, and then I hit this, I mean, that's a higher pink noise. I was hitting on the horn there versus the face here. So let me try to, it's a smaller anvil, so it's giving a much more tink, like a higher peak noise. So maybe that could be accurate statement. I don't know. You all tell me. Anvil connoisseurs. But there's a lot that goes into the ringing of an anvil, though.
79 Poison Breaker says, would you recommend a new person learning with coke fuel, or is there much of a difference between coke and coal?
There's a huge difference between coke and coal. Coal's my baby. I used coal for a great many years. That's what I started with. That's what I wish I could still be using at some point. Coke is a lot cleaner burning, like you don't get all the smoke and stuff off it. You still get soot and you still get clinker in coke. At least I do. My bags, my bags of coke come with a good hefty amount of clinker in them as well. But yeah, the differences are a lot different. I say learn out of everything you can. I wouldn't say one's better than the other to get started on. If you start with coke, you'll know how to work and manage a coke fire. If you start with green coal, you'll know how to work and manage a green coal fire. Coke is different in that way. It's not the same as a green coal fire. It kind of requires different techniques to keep the fire running nice and doing that. So they're not necessarily interchangeable, even though they are basically the same product. It just burns differently. Let's go to the anvil. What I'm concerning myself with the most with this piece is I'm trying to make the profile look really nice and smooth and even on both sides.
We have a question from Joshua Perkins. Says, any thoughts on any classes for 2021?
Good question. I've got about 3 planned right now. I haven't discussed it yet with Goshen, Ohio yet, with Jamie Geyer that runs the classes down there. Usually I teach several classes a year there, so I'm planning on doing that again this year. One that I know is going to go for sure is a garden bench class, forging a garden bench. The other 2 are still, they're semi up in the air just yet. I'm not making really any solid plans as of yet until I make it through my conference that I'll be demonstrating at for BAM. I'll be demonstrating at the BAM conference in Missouri. If you're around Missouri or in the general neighborhood, you should come to BAM. I'll be there. I'll be the main conference demonstrator this year, and I'll be demonstrating a French Baroque sign bracket. So if you want to come and see that demonstrated and all of its goodness, that would be good that way. Yeah, so I haven't really nailed anything down as of yet. This year, if I can, I'm hoping to get a couple classes myself taken with a couple different master smiths, but that's really kind of my only goals. Really, the main portion of my year is going to be spent home because I need to get the barn fixed. I need to get the shop fixed with getting the siding on. I need to have the roof replaced. I was going to do the roof, but I'm probably going to pay somebody to do the roof to get the roof back in good order and good shape. There's stuff like that I've got to focus on and really make a good progress. With all the move that we did and all that other stuff, we've done everything we can to work on the place in between having to keep up with everything else, whether that be orders, life, classes, you name it. So this year I'm going to try to stay a little bit more homeward bound than what I've done in years past. So doesn't mean I won't be teaching classes. I'll just be teaching a little fewer of them this year. Mostly I'll probably stay with Goshen, Ohio, unless some other blacksmithing venue opens up and they want me to come out and teach. And then I'm just doing that kind of like a case-by-case basis. Got the anvil? Do it? Nope, too cold. I was able to put it in the vise, it would have worked out okay. Looks good. What else we got there, Jess?
Speargrass had asked the 16-foot driveway gate you're going to be working on, whether that was going to be one solid gate or two.
I believe it's going to be one solid gate, but that may change to two. So it's one of those that there's a lot in the planning stage that's still kind of a little bit up in the air and not completely tied down as of yet when it comes to that. So the design, I'll design it either way. The design will have to change a little bit depending on whether the client goes with one solid gate or a double hung gate. If it's a double hung gate, obviously you can't put nothing right in the center that's overly aesthetic, you know, because you got to make a lap, you got to make a joint there, right? So that kind of dictates design a little bit. Function kind of dictates what the form will be at that point. So that part's still a little bit up in the air yet, but I have designs for either, so we'll see where that goes. Great question. And I'm very elusive about that because I'm elusive right now about it. I'm all aloof. I don't know yet.
Foxy asked what kind of ventilation you have in the barn.
A lot. That's the answer to that. A lot of ventilation. Oh, this is basically an old hay barn, or an old dairy barn, if you will. And it is not exactly the tightest built building in the world. Hence, all the breath you can see.
Bill Wolf says, got lots of stainless sheet from several old restaurant tables, fridges, etc. Any idea of what I could create with it?
Stainless steel forge. That way it never rusts. Yep. Put a cast iron fire pot in it, a stainless steel everything else. That's what I'd do. Or if you're looking for products, they make great sculptural material because you can bend it, shape it, form it, and not wreck the properties of the stainless, or know how to get those properties back, then you can make some good sculptural work out of it.
Let's see. Wilkins said, glad to hear that your son is interested in blacksmithing. My 7-year-old daughter laid dibs on the anvil the other night when she heard Mama Bear give up the okay to buy one. My current one is like Roy's first old school Harbor Freight.
Cool. Well, yeah, it's always awesome when our kids take an interest in what we do. More than just, when's dinner?
Dane Rich says, ventilation equals nature for Roy.
Yeah. Get that twisted to shape. Drop it once. Just for good measure. Looks pretty good. I need to thin it just a bit more. Need to thin this area just a little bit more. I can roll that up.
William Wool says, already made a forge with that smiley face.
Then make me a forge of it. Come on, what are you doing? Help a brother out. Yes, yes. You got to have at least one good drop forge in there somewhere. Otherwise, it's not. Are you really forging? Like, do you even forge, bro? If you don't drop forge at least once. Don't know about that one. Stainless is tough stuff. I wouldn't want to work it myself, but more power to you. If it is good, that's great to know. What else we got, Jess?
Ford Tagab says stainless is overrated by the general public.
Yeah, I'd say that's a factual statement. Are we on my mic or? Okay. I'd say that's a pretty factual statement. Stainless is one of those things. It's not a miracle material. It is and it isn't all at the same time, right? Like, it has a lot of great properties to it and then not so great properties. Like if you're forging stainless, there's a lot of stuff that you kind of have to adhere to, best practices as to not end up with non-stainless anymore. So there's certain heat you have to achieve, and you know and that changes depending on what type of stainless you have, because newsflash, there's varying differences in stainless, varying grades and what they have in them and what they're good and what they're used for. So it's kind of almost its whole own deal. And you really have to do your research on what type of stainless you have and what it's best used for and how to properly go about, forging it or heat treating it. Some of it has to be heat treated a certain way in order for it to get its stainless properties back. Some of it needs to have passivation done to it. Stainless steel is self-passivating, which is good. You can look that up on Google if you want to know what passivation is. The process of passivating material. But yeah, there's a lot of things to it. Again, I think people think of, oh, well, if I've got a piece of iron, it's going to rust. No, not if you take care of it, it's not going to rust. I mean, if you keep an iron gate painted, it's going to stay painted. It's not going to rust. It's not just going to spontaneously rust out of nowhere, right? Where it rusts is poor design choices and lack of maintenance. That's it. Stainless, same thing. Stainless will corrode away eventually if it's in an area that's got a lot of abrasion that it has to go through. It does not make the greatest certain things like that. It'll eventually wear away, just like anything will. So you just have to, choose your material wisely. But yeah, stainless is one of those fatted things that it's going to be the new metal of the millennia, right? Like, it is going to be the thing that takes us into the space age, and it did in certain things, and they've bypassed that with other materials now. So, but things stick in the public consciousness, and that's what it is. So.
Okay. Yeah, he says he has a pickup bed full, and it hangs out the tailgate. That's how much he has of it.
Sounds like he'll be roofing his shop in stainless steel. I don't know what to do with it. That's one of those things when you luck onto a deal like that, you just, if you luck into a deal like that, you just think you're lucky stars and then you stow it away for a rainy day. And when that rainy day comes, you are prepared. You have a project, good sir, that you can use.
One thing you could do with it maybe is some kitchenwares type items and some bowls, because they could be food grade.
Yeah, you could do that. Some kitchenware stuff.
Flat Rock Mountain Forge says, try that again. Flat Rock Mountain Forge says, is there a burn rate difference in coke, anthracite, and bimutamus? Do they last for longer or shorter periods in the forge?
Yes. Yes, there's a difference. What that difference is, depends. It just depends. Depends on what you got. It depends on the mine. It depends on the place that did the coking of the coke. It just depends. I am a personal hater of anthracite coal. I do not like anthracite coal. Some people like it. Some people, that's all you can get. And I understand those things. But if you gave me a bag of it, I'd use it as, I'd chuck it out in my field. I would not use it myself. I don't particularly enjoy anthracite coal. Now, that again, in some parts of the world, some parts of the country, that's all you can get. Well, you just use what you gotta use what you gotta use. But anthracite does not coke. It does not have the surface area to maintain a good hot fire that's localized in the intense heat like a green coal does when it cokes up, or like a coke, a metallurgical grade coke does. So I'm not a fan of anthracite myself. That's a little rant on anthracite. Some people get bummed like that, like I'm coming across like I'm really, slamming somebody for whatever they're using. That's not what it is. It's if you brought me a bag of it, I wouldn't use it. Just because I know there's better stuff out there. And the main reasons why. I understand what the reasons for it is. Can you heat a bar up in it? Yes. Can you attain forge welding temperatures? Yeah. Will you ever get things to stick? Probably not. Not the greatest way. You'll have a lot of inclusions and everything else in it. Why? Because you have to use too much oxygen. You need the surface area in the coke, whether it's green coal that has been converted to coke. You need that surface area, or you need regular metallurgical grade coke that has the surface area to eat up excess oxygen so you can have an oxygen neutral environment that you're heating in to bring up to welding heats. And so that's principally for that alone, I don't do the anthracite. But everything has its place and everything has different rates of combustion and price and you name it. So just do, you do you, boo, like they say. But if you can get bimutamus, go bimutamus. If you live in town with a bunch of neighbors, maybe somebody who's an asthmatic, probably get coke instead. It's just kind of just one of those things you have to kind of decide for yourself. Got a little bit of that hard scale on that finial I don't like, but that's all right. Okay, get this thing. Beautiful. Starting just like we did the other one. And right round and round and round and round and round we go. Where we stop, oh, nobody will know.
Just so you know, babe, we are at 7:11 p.m.
7-Eleven?
7:11.
We're at 11 p.m.?
7:11.
Oh, 7-11. I gotcha.
And Alice Harvey has a comment, says, let me roll it. She says, for my birthday, a friend made me an anvil. He thought it was a good thing. 1/4-inch eye railroad, square tubing legs, rings like crazy. Okay, now you can laugh.
Did you thank them kindly? Oh. Yeah, so at the end of the day, a tool is a tool. Think of burning fuel as a tool. Whether it's propane, natural gas, it's a heating torch, it's coke, coal, bimutamus, anthracite, charcoal, armpit hair on fire, I don't care. I don't care what it is. It's a consumable, and you have to do what you have to do to undertake the process of blacksmithing. There are better things out there probably than what you're using. There's better things than what I'm probably using right now. But I'm doing what I got with what I have, right? So I'm making do with what I got with what I have. And that is really crucial for anybody to do. You know, sometimes we get a little bit too caught up in whether this is a good fuel, or is that a good tool, or is this the best for this, or is that the best for that. And at the end of the day, it is your own creativity and your own skill level where you're at on that scale that is going to either stop you from being able to do or empower you to be able to do the things that you want to do. It's not necessarily the tooling. Yes, there is a holdback on tools. If you got like the world's crummiest anvil, or you don't even have an anvil at all, obviously you don't have a hardy hole. Well, you don't have a hardy hole, so if I sent you my bending jig here, you might not be able to use it, right? For my scroll jig. So what? Cry in the back about it later, get over with it. Eventually, you'll get up to a point where you have a hardy hole in an anvil. Maybe it doesn't even have horns to begin with. Some anvils were never sold with horns to begin with. You know, so there's a lot of growth that you have to do as a blacksmith. You just can't shortcut it and go straight to the top. And people who usually do that end up on Craigslist or Facebook selling off their entire shop kit because they thought that they wanted to be a blacksmith. They thought that'd be really cool to make knives. Someone told them that this is all the best stuff and this is the only way to get into it. And so they did exactly with whatever somebody had told them previously to do. And they thought, okay, that's great. I'll just follow right along. I got a big enough checkbook. I'll buy into it. A year later, they're selling off all their equipment because they had no clue how to, one, use any of it. Two, it didn't look as easy as it did on the TV screen, right? And three, they realized that this is a physically demanding and mentally demanding trade. It's an actual real trade that requires real skill that you have to earn. You have to earn those skills. It takes time to earn that. So don't be one of those people getting into online arguments with which one's better and whose thing and who makes the best whatever. You should be looking internally at yourself as a smith of whether you can take what you have and create the things that you want from it. Going to the anvil. Roy rant. Some people like those, some people don't. Roy rants.
Most people do because they requested 2021 being Year of the Roy Rant.
Year of the Roy rant. Lord help us all. Lord help us all. Which way to turn it? Which way to turn it? Which way to turn it?
There.
Yeah. There we go.
Speargrass Forge says, I use an old wheel hub as a shaping swedge for tongs blocked in my vise. Necessity is the mother of invention.
Mm-hmm. It's good. Yeah, I mean to go back to what I was saying, I don't want to imply that good tools don't help you with what you're doing. They do. They clearly do. But if you don't know how to function on those tools, I mean, for the love of God, look at Forge and Fire. Most of those people don't know how to use a pair of tongs, make a pair of tongs. They don't know how tongs function. Like, I see so much drop steel. What are you all doing? People don't understand the basic mechanics of forging fundamentals. Like, they skip that whole thing, and yet they're making knives and calling themselves a master blacksmith. It drives me nuts seeing stuff like that, right? Because what it does is it just bypasses stuff. And oftentimes you'll see the guy that has almost no tools to his disposal win out against the guy who has more tools than I have in my shop. And they are way less experienced than I am. So experience has nothing to do with how much tools you have, or, it's not, the guy with the biggest stick wins here. That's not how that works. It's just not how it works. You have to earn your seat at the table, so to speak. If you want to be a great smith, you have to earn that. You have to work hard at those things. You have to practice. You have to practice those fundamentals. You have to challenge yourself to get in the forge. You have to challenge yourself to get creative and try new things and fail often and fail a lot and fail fast and just continue to fail and work and practice and practice and practice to get there, just like anything else. I am not an Olympic athlete. Not an athletic bone in my body. Nor will there be. But I'm not trying out for the Olympics next month and saying, put me in, coach, right? The same thing with blacksmithing. You just can't do that. Like, you can. That's the thing. You can buy as much tools as you want, as much as your billfold can hold. But if you do not have the wisdom and the knowledge of how to use those tools, they're not going to be effective for you at all. They're not. So if you are a beginner, do not skimp on learning your fundamentals. Do not skimp on that. Do not look at, I would be a better smith if, because that's a falsehood. I've believed it myself a long time ago. I would be a better smith if, and then you fill in that blank statement with whatever you got. If I had a press like the guy I saw. No, that guy's got 20 years of doing things. He knows something about that press you don't have a clue about yet, right? So you're not there yet. Once you do get there, you'll know. You'll have the benefit of hindsight. You'll look at some young guy coming up, and he'll be like, oh, I would be able to do that if I had a press like you. And you're going to be like, yeah, okay, whippersnapper. I just thought of the same, I thought like you one day too, That's what you're going to get. Depending on what blacksmith shop you're in, you try that, you might get a thump on top of the head too, on whatever it is. But I know I'm waffling on and I'm ranting on a little bit, but that's the cold hard reality. I see a lot of people in today's day and age trying to skip that step, that important step. And unfortunately, it just, it doesn't go well for them. And my heart breaks for the wee young whippersnappers. And I mean that in the most sincere way of whether they're 90 years old when they decide to start, they're but a babe in the forge. What have you done, Roy? See? All the time I've spent in the forge and I still get stuff wrong. Like, which way I'm supposed to go around with this? I thought I turned it the right way. Get out of here. This is so much easier to do without camera equipment. So much easier to do. Without cameras being in the way.
Speargrass Forge says, if you're not failing, you're not improving. Love Roy rants. Justin Ray says, Roy rant, Roy rants.
Yeah.
Frank Strock says, you can watch all the smithing vids you want, but if you don't get out there and apply it, you will never get anywhere.
Exactly.
Carter Hamilton says, I make mostly coat hooks and things for the barn out of lots of half-inch rebar. Rebar I can get for free from work when they pour concrete for basement walls.
See, yeah, there's another thing. Use the material you got. If that's what you're using, great. Great. Are you making something that fulfills you and brings you value, beautifies your home, brings you fulfillment? Then great. That's a good thing. I mean, that's a good thing to do. Don't get caught up. Don't get caught up in the fact of, oh, I'd be able to go on to do so much great things if I just had a specific type tool, or if I had a specific fuel I was using, or whatever. It's useless for you to do that. It's useless for you to do that. Those are things that you have to earn, and they're hard earned, and they're worth it. They're worth it. You know, be a beginner because you're a beginner. Soak in as much information as you can learn, right? Be honest with yourself. Be a lifetime student. That's my hope, my goal. I'm not done yet. I have things I want to learn. I have people I want to learn those things from. You know, so I'm not done yet. There's nothing where I have arrived. And the people who have arrived, so to speak, they, yeah, they've arrived all right. They've arrived at the conclusion of stop learning, right? So they will stop progressing, they'll stop getting better, and they'll get less and less to where they want to be. So be a career student if you can. Learn as much as you can. You know, and then don't count people out. Don't count people out. That's another thing I can tell beginners. You know, just because you hear information, don't believe everyone and everything that everybody says, but also don't just discount it either. You know, take in all information, process it, try it out. If it works for you, great. A lot of times you'll find that you might find 40% of it works for you and the other 60 doesn't. Throw the 60 out that didn't, use the 40 that did. And you will get better and better and better. We learn with our ears, not with our mouths. Or in this day and age, our typey fingers on a screen.
William Wool says you could make brackets to hang cameras on so you wouldn't have bases in your way.
Be real difficult. Very long brackets, like 30-ish feet type long brackets. Well, I don't know. The closest is about 16 feet off the ground. Mounting point. That'd be one heck of a bracket. Hang a camera off of.
Luke Graham says, what's your opinion on self-taught learning rather than getting tuition or a class?
Good question. Good question. Yeah, that's a really rant in the making. So, let's see here. I'm trying to do this from a perspective of someone who maybe hasn't took a class. Back when I didn't take class, I'm trying to remember back to the old Roy. For the first 4 years of my forging journey, I was all self-taught. Okay? I was all self-taught. And me, being the guy that I am, I was quite arrogant about that fact. I thought, man, this is the way to go. Look at me. I took a lot of pride in being self-taught. And again, this isn't directed at anybody. This is just my story, right? I took a lot of pride with, I've learned it all myself and I've done it. And technically I wasn't. At that time, I was watching the heck out of Randy McDaniel's blacksmithing primer. That was my first introduction to any sort of education in smithing. And I was going to monthly meetings at SOFA. And I was learning from things, learning loosely. I'll just say I was sitting there saying, I could do that. That's what I was doing for the first 4 years of my blacksmithing journey. Then Jessica, be the wonderful woman that she is, she got me a scholarship to go to Touchstone Center for Crafts and actually learn from somebody who knew what the heck they were talking about, not just my ego, right? And I had my ego popped. That ego bubble I had completely popped and deflated, and it has not come back. People think I'm egotistical now. You have no clue. You have no clue whatsoever what Roy was like. But that ego bubble of mine popped, because what happened is people, I could tell on the whole story, but it'd take too long. Guys looked at some work I brought. They said it was garbage. They proceeded to tell me why. And then they proceeded to build me back a greater smith than what I had ever been by myself. And 4 years, they had to basically undo 4 years of stupid on my part, right? To get me back to a situation where they could put me into a good state of actual growth, right? And they did that all in a week. They did that all in a week. And I took classes, didn't I, Jess? I took classes at Touchstone. I was very fortunate, and I mean fortunate, blessed, absolutely blessed, to be able to take 6 different scholarships I got to go to Touchstone Center for Crafts. Year after year, I got to go there. And then I got to meet Tom Latney, and then he invited me to his house, and I got to take and do an internship with him. And like that right there. The smith I am today is because of those other smiths that knew what they were doing, teaching me. The smith I am today is because I had enough brain and sense to shut up and listen to what they were saying and try it their ways and try those things and have that in-person education for them to come along and say, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing it that way? This way is better. I needed that. People do that, okay? And that is invaluable, friends. Absolutely invaluable. It really is. You cannot put a price on that. You cannot put a price tag on that. You will learn more in one class than you'll learn in 4 or 5 years of self-study. Guarantee it. Anybody wants to debate me on that, feel free to have a go at it. I'll stand on that till the day I die. I really will. You will learn more in one class, one good 1 week class, than what you will learn by yourself in 4 years. It's not always possible for you to take classes, right? It's just not. It's not financially possible sometimes, right? Sometimes time-wise it doesn't work out, right? Timelines. The class is going on right when you got a kid being born or something, right? Like, so it's not always possible to do those. But when you can, if you can take a class in person, it will majorly shave a ton of time, years off of your learning curve when it comes to blacksmithing. Now, when I got started doing this and learning all this, again, you have to understand, this was in the days where Roy had a flip phone, right? I had a flip phone. I was not privy to whole YouTube and that there was stuff like this online, right? I only had word of mouth and by people I ran into and by happenstance. So, now it's great. Back in 08. Yeah, way back in 08. Yeah, but now it's great because you have stuff, you have online educators that are willing to share everything that they know freely on YouTube, on the internet. But even with that, even as good as my videos are, I'm going to brag on myself for a second, even though I have 15 videos out there to educate you, there is no substitution for having somebody come alongside you and look at your work with an eye that's not glowing with pride because, look, I just made a thing. Oh, man, look at that. Yeah, that totally looks like the instructor's. Yeah, totally. You lie to yourself. The instructor will come along and go, pop your little bubble and say, no, that's crooked. That needs to be bent out of the way. That's do whatever, right? And then you'll be like, I guess that's not. I was satisfied with it being kind of crummy looking. You won't say it's crummy looking. Your wife won't tell you it's crummy looking. Your mother won't tell you it's crummy looking, but it's crummy looking. It's butt ugly. And you need an instructor to tell you, that's butt ugly. Let's make it better. You need that. I needed it. Everyone needs it.
Corey Shire says,
That was a long rant, and I detested it.
Corey Shire says, #Roy, the 11 most dangerous words ever spoken. I've watched some YouTube videos, so it can't be that hard.
There wasn't even a YouTube videos back then. I was just that arrogant that I just thought I could compete with a guy that had 30 years of experience under his belt and making things that I couldn't even dream about. Oh. All right, let's go here. And I'll also put this out there. Not every class is a good class either. Not every instructor is a great instructor. So you might go through some people that you're just like, you know what, I don't really know about this guy. And rightfully so. You're gonna find people like that that's just like, they may have sounded impressive when you looked at the class online, right? When you put in your order or put in your ticket to get involved in that class, But then later on you find out they're just a complete tool. I would say another word, but that's not very Christian-like. It's not like the channel. You're going to run into that too. You'll find people that you jive with, other people you don't. You'll find people that you can learn from, and other people just your guys' biological makeup doesn't line up. You know what I mean? And that will happen too. But the classes are worth it. If you can take classes, go take classes. They don't even have to be my classes. Go take classes with someone out there. If you can. If you have the fortunate ability to do so, take a class. It really will change your life in blacksmithing. Those are Roy's passionate speeches. Roy rants around here for anybody who's new watching.
They said, did Roy have a mullet too? LOL. That was David Walker. No?
Just what?
Did Roy have a mullet too back then? No.
No mullet.
The Sprinkle Donut Forge says, if I spend $1 to make 100, it's like taking a class on forging to increase my knowledge. It's a good deal.
Yeah, that logic plays out.
Bunch of comments about payphones. Granddads.
Yeah.
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 He said, I remember waiting to get near a payphone. It cost a dime in the snow.
Jeez. Well, you're older than us, because I remember when payphones were $1.25. That was right before payphones went out of style, because cell phones were a thing.
Veteran Iron and Wood says, LOL, my little village still has its AT&T payphone. People are always stopping to take pictures of it.
I love it.
Brian Neely says, teaching is every bit as much a skill as blacksmithing is, and not every smith is competent to teach.
That is true. I have seen classes or demonstrations from smiths, good smiths, people who are, major respect for, just horrible. That no talking, they don't explain anything, don't answer questions with any sort of conclusion or use. Excuse me. It's like, I had a class once I took, and I asked what I thought was a fairly simple question that the instructor should know, and instead of the instructor saying whether he knew or didn't know or whatever, he literally just gave me a blank stare and said, oh no, it's just metal, it moves that way. I'm like, oh, so you know fundamentally less about this subject than I do. Good to know. That was, I can't mention who it was or anything, but it's just one of those things where I was asking what I thought would have been a fundamental question to ask, and it was pertinent to the class. It wasn't like, do you like, green yogurt or something, right? Like it was actually relevant. It was relevant to the class at hand, and the guy couldn't answer. That would have been okay. I would have been okay if he said, well, I never thought about it that way, or whatever. That would have been fine. But to me, in my mind, he lost a lot of respect points in that department when he couldn't come up with an answer. And again, he just wasn't there for really answering a lot of questions like that. That's just, here's how I do it, you should do it the same. That was like his way of teaching the class. You come teach a class with me, that's not how you learn. That's not how you learn with me. Yes, I have some little things that I'll say as best practices if you want to achieve the similar results, but that's not the way that you'll get it from me.
Oh, also, I meant to read this off earlier, and I think I forgot to. But thank you, Sprinkled Donut Forge, for the $20 super chat. He said it's for more borax.
Thank you, Sprinkled Up Forge. More borax indeed. Indeed. I've got more borax than I can use right now. Ever. Gonna heat this whole thing up and iron it flat and we're good to go. The same as the other runner. We should check it. And then that's probably where we should call it good for the evening. Oh, hot dang. Pretty darn close. Got pretty close. Within an inch. I must have drew the other one just a wee more.
That one within an inch.
Someone asked earlier if you were concerned about hitting the material on your jig.
Nope. The jig is really thick, so I can do that. I can use the jig as a fixture. If you made it out of thinner stock, if you made it out of thinner material, yeah, you'd have to be concerned about that. This is 1/2 inch thick by 1.25 inch wide flat bar, so that the jig is constructed out of. So I'm not worried about whacking on things there. And when I'm hitting stuff, I'm not like hitting it with the arm of Thor here, right? Like I'm just tapping. It's just tapping to get it tight around the piece to eliminate any gappage.
Someone also had asked if there would be any benefit in using a mallet.
Yeah, you could use a mallet. It's valid. I just have the hammer in hand, so I'm just using it. Oh. If you use a hand hammer, don't be wailing on this thing. We're not trying to forge it. Again, we're forming it. When I'm tapping it, I'm tapping out. What you guys can't see from your angle is there's like little gaps, like little tiny spaces that show up when you bend it around. If it's not quite laying perfectly flat, and I'm tapping those little gaps out so everything sits flush against the jig. So that's what I'm accomplishing essentially with this. But you can do it with a mallet as well. That's a great method. I use a mallet all the time on scroll work. Time to get all this in line. Hung out there. A boom. Take it back. Beautiful. Gorgeous. Now I can more directly compare the two. Oh yeah, they're right on. That one was a little longer, but I think should probably pulled a bit more there. Those are dead on. I must have cut that other one shorter. I mean, it's dead on an inch. Inch short. It's either that or I didn't forge it as thin. I mean, that's dead on the money there. Don't know why it came up a little short. I'll have to walk it off and check the math again. There you have it. Look good?
Yeah, it does look good.
Can they see that on screen number 2?
Yeah.
There we have it. Not bad at all. That's gonna be so cool. The kids are gonna dig that, aren't they? He's gonna be lightning quick down the hill too. Yeah. When you come up. That's looking good. What did everybody think?
William Wool says, sweet. Keith French says, looks good, Roy. Wayne Height says, looks great, Roy. Just gonna get better says, nice.
Yep.
Stephen Watkins says, those look awesome. Dave Varner says, those look great. Redbeard Sports says, that's gonna be awesome for Ford, for sure.
Yep.
Brent Daughtery says, great, I really enjoyed the live streams.
Glad you like them. Great. Yeah, go ahead.
Jackson wants to see you going for a ride on it.
Yeah, there you go. This is gonna be one of those sleds that, you know, most people have plastic sleds that they ride down hills on and stuff. This is gonna be one of those things that we're gonna have to tell other people on the slopes to like get out of the way. When this one's done, it's gonna be like, this is the kid eater of sleds. You know, if your small child gets tucked up underneath this, that is not my problem. Ho, 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 ho. That's what you're gonna hear. They come whizzing by, you know. This thing's gonna go Mach 2 down a hill. That is great. I'm enjoying that. That's fun.
Carter Hamilton says, now you have a way to haul some wood, LOL. And Speargrass Forge says, I never understood how sleds just don't sink in the snow.
They do. It's kind of, look up, the best one to look up is what ice skates do, how ice skates work. Look that up. Google how ice skates actually work. Find some YouTube videos on it. It's actually some pretty, really neat science behind that. I will get it wrong if I try to, you know, say a whole lot about it, but the basic gist of it is that the runners, you know, the runners or the skates, if you will, they actually compress stuff and they create like a little layer. They actually heat up the ice that's right in front of them. Same thing with the sled runners, the snow runners here. They actually heat up that little bit by compression and it creates a slick surface, almost like it kind of flash freezes it in front of the runner, and that's how it goes a lot quicker. The reasons why modern sleds don't go as fast is because there's more surface area of contact. So it doesn't do that as well. It more rides on top of the snow versus like these, they compress it at such a rate, your body weight compresses that snow at such a rate that it then basically turns to ice underneath the runner, and whew, away you go. So that is what I understand about it, the physics behind it. Look up that on ice skates. I was in debate about how wide to make my runners. Usually on old-fashioned kid sleds, the best information I could come up on, they weren't over 3/4 of an inch wide for whatever reason, or 20 mil. Usually they were like half-inch wide runners, like really thin runners. I didn't have the right width stock to do that, so I said, well, I'll test a little 1-inch out in the snow and see it. That's like, that thing without anybody on it, it was like, woo! I mean, I just took a bar of it that I kind of rolled the end, and I just kind of like slapped it on the ground and slid it, and it was like gone. I mean, it went 40 feet with just that thing with no one on it, so it's going to do really great. Once you got a small child and 2 runners and a good grade, this thing's going to fly. Yes, it does. If you got a good packed sledding path in front, that's good. Same principle as like, you know, rough ice on an ice skating rink isn't as great to skate on as smooth ice, right? Same thing, snow. It works better if it's a smooth surface. So this part here, oh, we got camera number 2. Can they even see this line I got on here?
Yeah.
Okay, this will be in the next stream. We'll be working on the actual brackets for this. I don't know if I will get all of these. I might work on the majority of the brackets and just do one for the next stream. I'll probably work on most of the brackets off camera, and then I will just do one for the stream itself. But basically, this is going to be a split scroll, a split tail scroll on this end, and a regular scroll on this one. All penny scrolls. Can I see this back here? Go to camera 1. Can they see it? So one portion of this scroll is going to come like this, of the split tail. One's going to scroll over here and have a little leaf finial to it, kind of like a water leaf, if you will, on this end. And then this end will have a penny scroll to it. And then this other part that you see come up here to the board, can they see that okay? The other part that's coming up to the board, that's actually the other leg of this scroll. That's going to arch over and have a bit of a scroll to it that will become an anchor point for the sled. So I'm building the cross braces into the design of the scroll. So it's both form and function. So those will take a little bit more time to get exactly the way I want them, but they should be pretty easy. But we will hot split these. And then forge them out into scrolls. But that'll be in the next stream. Oh man, what a fun time. I had a lot of fun time. I haven't had this much fun in a while. Well, this week has been absolute hell on me. I've been down all week, literally with my jaw here and my gums, and I still got a problem with it. If it wasn't for the meds I'm on, we wouldn't. Yeah, we wouldn't be streaming right now. So I'm definitely going to feel this come tomorrow morning. For real. So, but that's got our runners done for that. Also, the other thing I didn't say about this, this part here will just be a riveted on piece. This will be a pinned on piece. We'll make these little curly cues, drill it, and just rivet it onto the sleigh itself there, the sled. They don't have to be anything special. They're just a little kick up point, to keep there. What else, babe? What we got?
Heath French, Roy's kids say, "Daddy's a blacksmith. He made the sled, so mine will last longer." Other kids, "Dad, can you make me a sled?"
Other dad no longer likes this dad because now he's committed to making something he don't know how to make. End of story. Roy makes no friends on the slopes, especially when my sled runs over one of their kids.
Go on days where there's nobody on the sled.
Yeah, I mean, if there is people around, I am interested to see the response. It will be eye catching. Yes.
Well, I mean, it's not your average, ordinary, everyday sled that you see tugging up the way. They're like, "Whoa, where'd you buy that? Antique shop?" "No, I made it." Yeah, bring on those orders, huh? Until they realize how much it's going to cost them. Like, that'll cost me a BMW. Oh. Anywho, you good? More questions? Comments?
Wayne Heinz says, "We made a rope pulley system to drag the sleds back up when I was a kid. Some people had said they used to use car hoods to sled in, and I said, oh, that sounds heavy."
Heck yeah.
And
On car hood.
Carter Hamilton said he also had a horse to pull it back up the hill. LOL.
Yeah, there's all sorts of fun stuff. You can slide pretty good on cardboard. If you get a cardboard box, don't last real long, but as long as it's super cold out, you can slide real good, and it's packed on cardboard. It'll get along at a pretty good clip. I used to bend up my grandma's baking sheets when I was real young. I was like, and then hop on it. Oh man, she got so mad. So mad. Nothing like having a cookie sheet rolled up in a little taco for her grandson's enjoyment. So.
Speargrass asked if you're going to paint it red and green.
Not sure. I think I'll leave the ironwork. I may leave the ironwork alone. 50-50 on that. I'll probably end up powder coating or doing something to the ironwork after a while. First year anyhow, it's just going to stay exactly the way you see it, just black iron, that sort of deal. But yeah, I don't know. Sky's the limit on that. I'm not sure. I've wanted to make a sled like that with nice red and green paint and stuff. But then it might look too store-bought. I kind of want it maintain that element of like, hey, this isn't some reproduction of something. This is a unique item that you can't get. So I kind of want to maintain that. Not sure how I want to maintain that just yet, but it'll be the only rusty mobile out there, huh?
William Wool says, I remember the old disc-shaped sleds, like Roy's copper bowls, but were aluminum.
Yeah. Good times. Good times. When you could fly down the hill with your friends at breakneck speeds. Literal breakneck speeds sometimes, in some cases. You're like, oh, it got Timmy. Well, that's all right. Back up to the top of the hill. Somebody call his mom. Right down you go again. Oh. Good times. Good times as a kid. Now if I were to hit something, I wouldn't be getting back up for a while. I couldn't do that now. Can't do the old sledding thing too much. I got to be on a safe hill, somewhere I'm not going to run into something or trees or anything else. Body can't take that abuse like it used to. So that's going to be it for the stream. Thank you everyone who's supporting us this evening. God bless each and every last one of you. I greatly appreciate that. And for those of you that have watched it on the replay and are just now clicking in because you've skipped over half the video to look for what the new year the new year is going to be. The new year is going to be the year of the swedge. So did you switch over to that? Again, we'll be giving away one Holland anvil. I believe it's a 55-pound. Is that right, Jessica? You could correct me if I'm wrong. It's a 50-pound swedge block. We will be giving one of those away a month. Thanks to Holland Anvil for partnering with us to be able to do that. That is awesome. We will be giving one of those away every single month throughout the whole year of 2021. So super excited about that. Definitely come back if you get the chance. And next stream when we give one away. And it'll ship straight from Greg at Holland Anvil. Again, great customer service and stuff. It'll ship straight from him to you, your door. And that's open to 50 United States, not just the lower 48. It's open to Alaska and Hawaii, right? And then also Puerto Rico, apparently, since that's what it will ship in the box that it goes in. So we're getting there. We're getting there. We're almost international, huh? Almost. We include Puerto Rico. Our Canadian friends hate us right now. They're like, Americans. Shaking your fists right now. I feel you. I feel your pain. I feel your pain. So, but yeah, so that's super exciting. We're going to be doing that all throughout 2021. I'm really looking forward to that. Again, a little change in pace to let everybody know. Again, we will be doing one dedicated giveaway stream where we will be giving away the swedge block and door prizes and things like that. And then we will have one stream like what we had tonight, which is dedicated specifically just to forging. And that's what we're doing. We're going to be doing forging in the giveaway stream as well, but our dedication in this stream specifically is there's no door prizes or anything like that for the first stream of the month. So hopefully everybody's got that, and I said that clear enough. Everybody seemed to get it, huh? I never asked how many people we had in the chat today. I was so focused on forging this sled. It's a lot of fun. We had a good bit. We have a bunch of people here.
I think we had 168 at the top.
Cool, cool. Very neat. Now we're at like what, 23?
107.
107. I'll take it. I'll take it any day. So thank you all. Thank you all for being here. Thank you everyone for your support. It is greatly appreciated. Your watch time with your eyeballs. Gosh, that's been great. I really hope I've brought you enough entertainment for the evening and that, I made that time worth it and that you've maybe learned something while you're here. That'd be good. And yeah, can't wait for the next one. So Jessica should have that marked up down below, right?
I think so.
Yeah, good. I think she has that in the description. So if you want to get notified for the next stream, I believe it's linked up in the description. You can click on it and go set a reminder for that stream, so YouTube will specifically know that you want to be notified when that live stream goes live. So you'll definitely want to do that. All right, without further ado, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go rest my jaw. Now, it's going to suck tomorrow. So pray for me. Pray for me out there if you're the praying type, or good vibes, or I don't know, pour one out for me or something. Like, I'm going to need it. I want to need it tomorrow. We're going to have extra narcotics tomorrow. Well, there we went. We just got demonetized, huh? All right, that's it. God bless each and every last one of you. Thank you for joining us this evening, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye now.